Hello again, this is Dr. Whiting. Today I have a very special guest, Mr. John Howard. For those of you who are not familiar with that name, shame on you. He has conquered and won almost every cycling race in the world in his long career. And today I wanted to talk with him specifically about his long career. More specifically, longevity. We deal at our research institute, generally speaking, with folks over the age of 45 or 50. And a lot of those people have been sedentary for 10 or 20 years because of jobs or laziness or both. And all of a sudden they find themselves at middle age wanting to get fit again, get back into being more active and perhaps pursuing whatever sport or avocation that they enjoyed when they were younger. And it's not the same game, as we'll find out in a few minutes. Hi, John. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Whiting.
Whenever I think about you, and I think about your long career, I mean, you were at this decades before I met you, and I've known you over 20 years. So clearly you understand some secrets about maintaining longevity.
Well, a lot of it is enthusiasm. I think that certainly plays a part. I do take care of myself. I train practically every day. I put all of the right ingredients into the training, which includes flexibility, lots of stretching, strength training, and correct nutritional supplementation, which is a big part of the whole mix in terms of recovery. If you can't recover properly between these sets or these workouts, you're never going to have the kind of power that you need to advance the process a step further. So I think it's super important to get the vitamins, the amino acids, the minerals back in the system so that you can start pounding again. Rest is an important ingredient. That's the catalyst that makes it all happen, but I think the nutritional supplementation is a huge part of it in terms of longevity.
Well, and I totally agree with you, simply because as we age, we don't absorb nutrients as well as we used to. So the foods that we consume are already depleted in nutrients, and as we get older, we get less and less from them because of compromised digestion and various other things, and I really think supplementation is essential. And what most people don't realize is that any form of training, especially cardio training, so that would be cycling, that would be running, that would be, anything endurance-wise, rapidly can demineralize the body. In other words, you can drop minerals very, very quickly because so many of them are water-soluble, and obviously cardio-type exercises do induce increased respiration and perspiration. So I think that demineralization probably accounts, next to lack of conditioning and stretching, it probably accounts for some of the greatest reasons why people past the age 45 and 50 injure themselves so often in their pursuit of fitness.
Right. It's a double-edged sword. Of course, you want to continue. You want to build. You want to build as the competition dictates that you need to build. But at the same time, if the nutrient, those essential nutrients are being washed out of the system or sweated out, you got to replace them.
Yeah.
I know some athletes that are real sweat driven. I mean, they sweat immediately. I, on the other hand, don't seem to have that issue. I'm more of an endurance athlete. It takes me a lot longer to break a sweat. Some of my sprinters are sweating straight out of the blocks. So what we've noticed is that they require more mineral supplementation than people like myself who don't seem to have that body chemistry.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we talk to so many people. They decide, they make this commitment, and there's New Year's resolution or whatever it is, and this is the year they're going to get back in shape. And they hit the gym, or they get on the bike, or they start jogging, and for the next week thereafter, they're practically bedridden and in traction because obviously they try to do too much too soon after being sedentary. They're not stretching properly, and they're obviously not taking supplements. So what would your advice be to somebody who's 51 years of age, just hypothetically, and the guy says, I'm turning over a new leaf. I'm going to get back in shape.
Well, I admire that spirit. I think that's the right approach. I think the enthusiasm is a vital ingredient, as I mentioned, but I think you have to look at it on a broader scale in terms of life practice, and the longevity comes from understanding that it really shouldn't be an immediate decision. It should be a life pursuit, and I don't ever allow myself to follow those types of trends. I don't diet. I don't make resolutions that advance that process too quickly. I just live this life, and to me it's a matter of understanding what it takes to get to the next rung on the ladder, and in many cases with those of us over 60, it's a matter of holding our own and not losing ground. But I still like the idea of making conscious decisions based on reality and building an exercise regimen that follows a comfortable pattern of progressive advancement. And that's really the key as a coach. That's the advice I give especially my older athletes.
And speaking of your coaching abilities, you probably have trained people of all different ages, from childhood to past maturity, I'm sure. What do you feel is or how important, I should say, do you feel is the role of proper supplements for these students at various ages? And obviously, I'm sure you recommend nutrient supplements to all your students.
Absolutely. I've always recommended them. Those are the building blocks. Without the building, you're not going to have that progressive ramp up. So you've absolutely got to put those nutrients back in the system in order to progress. I can remember events that I've done, mostly stage races, when I was much younger, 35 years ago. And I remember breaking down in those stage races because I wasn't getting the proper supplementation. And now I know. It's a much easier process, but the slow destruction is very demoralizing when you know you've got the cardiovascular capabilities, but you're not getting the essential balance of nutrients back in the system to support the body. It might be a sudden bout of cramping, from a lack of the electrolytes, exactly, or it may just be you're completely run down. The adrenals are shot. The B group vitamins have been compromised. And before we met, this was more the norm. And I can remember very clearly how I dealt with it at the time, and usually it was just a long hiatus where I simply couldn't do anything more. I was at a point where training would actually bring me down, and this was 25 or 30 years ago. But now I have not had any of those issues since I've been using the Phoenix product line. None of that's been a problem.
Yeah, and you take a little rocket fuel supplement that I designed called High Vitality.
High Vitality, yes.
And that seems to be working good for you.
Oh, it does. It puts all the vitamins and amino acids and all of the minerals back. And it's all, you drop it in your orange juice or whatever juice you like in the morning, and amazingly you can't, there's no aftertaste or anything else. It's easily assimilated, and it's with you for the rest of the day, and that accomplishes a great deal. In my view, it's an important part of the whole process.
Well, you're an author of several books, and the most recent one is called Mastering Cycling. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this book and why you wrote it and who it's for?
Well, I wrote that. Human Kinetics, the publisher, came to me and said, we're doing a series on all sports, and from a master's perspective, and we'd like you to do cycling. So that was an honor. The only drawback was I was on a deadline to finish the book. But I did get it done, and my thought was try to come up with some basic information and also some cutting edge information that will be beneficial to cyclists who are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond. And I think we accomplished the mission perfectly, and a lot of these ideas are, while they may seem standard practice, some of them are quite different, and the end result is that we've had a tremendous run of success. Even before Mastering came out, I had a good batting average. I've had 181 national champions, 21 world champions, and 3 Olympic gold medalists. So I've worked with, or my staff have worked with, since 1982. So when you've been doing something that long, training athletes that long, you learn the secrets of what it takes to get them to the top of the podium. And we've had a great run of success. And again, part of that is the building process, and the nutritional supplementation is a big part of the whole build-up.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier about recovery, and that's really the key, because if you can't recover from training, you can't train.
That's right.
And so it doesn't really matter what level of fitness you're seeking. Even the weekend warrior can benefit from proper dietary supplementation, proper stretching, proper rest. I mean, these basic core factors of fitness apply at any level of pursuit.
Good
and I
point.
think that that's really important.
Very good point, Steve. What I've noticed is, irrespective of the level, whether they're ranked beginners or top category amateurs or professionals, the process of getting them there in small doses is exactly the same. It simply means ramping up the process a little quicker for some who already are at a high level of fitness, but the same techniques I use for each group.
Yeah. Well, if people want to have a closer look at your career and your achievements, is there a website they can go to?
Sure, johnhowardsports.com.
Easy enough to remember.
Or the other one that I'm working with is tobefastest.com. Just spelled out, tobefastest.com. Those are the 2 websites that we.
And I understand you're working with a young lady you have some pretty high hopes for.
Denise Mueller, current U.S. National Criterium champion, with Olympic potential. She is going to be the first woman in history to break, or set, I should say, a world speed record on the Bonneville Salt Flats. Now, this is something that has been around cycling since 1899, and the records have all been set by men. Denise, who is an immensely talented cyclist, will be the first woman to attempt this.
Wow. Well, as one of your students, we hope to be able to sit down with her sometime and delve into her mind a little bit and see what goes on in there. Because I think there's a lot of, we always talk about guys wanting to get fit. There's a lot of ladies who want to, bounce back and realize that, stiff achy joints at 45 is not exactly the way they want to go. So I think it would be interesting to speak with her and talk to her about some of her training patterns and some of her nutrient programs and so forth.
Well, I view Denise as a real role model for women. I have been working with her since she was 14 years old. She took a 23-year vacation, had 3 kids, and came back, owns her own business, and is now a contender for the Olympic team at age 42.
Amazing. Well, there you have it. You see, somebody can take a 23-year vacation and still bounce back. And not bounce back, but break records, and is heading for the Olympic team. At our research institute, we specialize in dealing with middle-aged people and older. And we realize that lots of you probably would like to exercise, know you should exercise, know you should be more active and get more exercise, But you know, you're a little afraid, you're a little nervous because you know things hurt already, and you know you don't want to exacerbate that problem. Our team can help you both with the exercise, the training, the nutrients, and the recovery. That's what we specialize in. I'd like to thank my guest, John Howard. Thank you, John, for your time. And if you should have any questions for John, you can reach him at his websites. And of course, if you are interested in taking the high vitality supplement that John takes and has kept him running for 25 years or more, you can find that supplement at the Phoenix Nutritionals website. And that website is www.phoenixnutritionals.com. Thanks for listening, and until next time, I'm Dr. Whiting with John Howard.